All right, so you bought a foal and now you're starting to freak out a little bit. You're thinking, what did I do? What am I going to do with a foal? Well, I want you to take a deep breath and tell you you're probably overthinking it. I'll break down the top 3 things you do need to consider and keep in mind whenever you're getting ready to bring a foal home. And you know what? I hope this video makes you feel better. And if you still have questions by the end of it, by all means, ask them down in the comment section. I will reply. Probably the most important thing that you need to do and to prepare is to make sure that everything is safe. You basically need to baby-proof your place. Do you have safe fencing? I would absolutely start there. Make sure everything is tidy with no loose wire. Whatever wood fence you'd have should be nice and solid. Because you see, sometimes young horses don't respect the fences the way older horses do. And as we will see, sometimes they face a little bit more pressure than them. So for that reason, I'm actually a big fan of electric fence. Yes, it's a little bit more work to install electric fence on top of your existing one, but if they can learn early on just to not be too close to the fence, the better it is for them in the long run, better for them, and better for you. If you're planning on putting the foal in a box stall, maybe during the day because there's just too many flies, or maybe you want him to go in at night because, well, that's just your routine, that's fine. You just need to baby-proof the box stall. Now, the stall fronts, if you have one of those stall fronts that are really low, I mean, they look amazing and very fancy, but for a young horse that's a little bit stressed out, there might be too much temptation to jump out. So choose a fully enclosed front stall like this one. At first, anyway. Next, you need to remember that foals have smaller hooves, smaller nose too. So you need to look around and see for places where maybe they could get jammed. And one place that can happen is the bars right there. So if you look at those bars here, these are closely spaced, so very safe for a foal. But if they were wider spaced like this one, they could get a foot caught. That would not be pretty. So if there's something you need to fix ahead of time, obviously, but maybe it's just temporary because you know what? Foals grow up amazingly fast. The other thing people get a bit stressed about is the horses that they will be putting the foal with. Now, you know that you should never bring a foal to grow up alone. Any horse really, but especially a foal, needs to have a companion for guidance, reassurance, and social comfort. I think everybody understands this. By the way, if you like this kind of video and if you're finding that this content is actually useful for you or maybe somebody you know, why don't you hit the like button? That's just going to help YouTube understand a little bit better what kind of viewers are interested into my channel. And speaking of channel, if what you like is practical aspect of raising horses, presented with some fact base and some experience, well, you're in the right channel because that's pretty much all I talk about. But the concern sometimes is, what is the best mix of horses for the foal? Well, it'll be whatever mix you have. The foal you brought will in turn into an adult that will become part of the herd. So no matter what combination of mares and geldings that you have, other than the obvious, don't bring an ungelded colt with open mares and fillies or fillies with a stallion, whatever herd the foal needs to get integrated to, will need to have to do. You might be thinking, ooh, you know, that mare's really dominant or that gelding is really tough. Well, the foal will need to cope with that. What I mean by that is that it will need to find its place in that herd. It will need to understand the social cues and the social signals and adapt its behavior or face the consequences. It is an important part of the social development of any horse to be brought up in a herd. What I think is more important is to make sure that you're bringing the foal into an environment that isn't too crowded. That is where the problem hides sometimes. What I mean by that is that horses need their bubble, right? They need their space just like we do. They need room to move around, get away from each other. So obviously, if you're bringing another horse into an environment that is already a little bit crowded, at this point, you're just asking for a vet bill. So just make sure that there's room for everybody so that they can get away from each other. If they can eat well away from each other, that there's a clean access to the water, you don't want anybody crowded into a fence or into a corner. Now, as for the introduction, I don't think I would just ever put a foal just out and turn them out into the herd and go, well, you know, you need to figure it out, social cues and all that. I think there's just too much danger of horses getting hurt that way. That's what happens in the wild. And while it might be very exciting to watch on National Geographic when it's your horse and your vet bills, I think it's a little bit too stressful. For me, anyway. So what I always do is I introduce over a solid fence. Something really safe. There's going to be posturing and squealing and maybe some attempt at striking or kinking. And I think it's just better if all that happens with a fence in between them, right? It also gives you and the foal a chance to observe the herd dynamic and see who is aggressive and who's posturing, but who is curious but gentle. You know what? After all this time, I never get it right. Every time I think, oh, well, this will be the behavior of that horse, they go and prove me wrong. So I think whatever happens, the horses always surprise me. But anyway, that's not the point. So I've learned not to make assumptions and to observe instead. And maybe you will see that one horse of the herd that seems a bit more curious and gentle. If you observe that, maybe put that one in with the foal for a few days before turning everybody out together. That way, it'll have a buddy. By the way, this is a little bit of a different format for me. Let me know if it works. It's kind of nice to be out and about in the fresh air. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. So your foal is all good. Now, what do we need to think about? Well, you need to give them time to adjust. For example, for an adult horse to move, when it moves to a new place, especially if they've already moved a few times in their lives, it will generally take them, I don't know, what is your experience? A week or two, maybe 3, right? To kind of settle into their new environment. And by then they're starting to get more comfortable and they're able to handle supplemental stress, such as getting ridden, going to a show, getting trained, learning something new. So if an adult horse takes a week or 2 or 3, I would give at least a month for the foal to get used to that, because he's got no previous experience to rely on. He's left everything behind that he knew, and now he has to learn a whole bunch of things. So during that time, I will literally do nothing with them. And I will cross my fingers that I do not need to do anything. Because this is a time for them to just adapt and get comfortable with their environment. Now, some people say you should just spend time with them. And that's nice, but I think we all live very busy lives. And personally, I'm terrible with just being someplace. I know that's something I probably need to work on. There's always something to do and I need to always be doing something. So what I will do, however, is go into their environment and I will do things such as clean the paddock or tidy up the fence or paint the fence sometime. Whatever it is, I'm going to be in their environment, but I won't be putting pressure on them. I'm not there to focus on them. I'm just doing my thing and they're in the periphery. Now, I welcome their interest if they come and see me, but I do not seek them out. I give them that time. I want them to be comfortable around me and understand that I'm not always there to pressure them. I will eventually, obviously, going to pressure them. That's going to come at some point. But I want to build with them I want to build over time that amount of trust and understanding, right? I want them to know what my base level is and get them comfortable with it. So your foal is safe, it's settled, and now you're wondering, what should I be doing with it? People always wonder, what is the right age-appropriate training I should be putting on my foal? To be clear, by the time the foals leave my place, my home, they usually lead, they get on the trailer, they stand for the farrier, and I'm assuming that yours has that. If not, you need to put those basic handling basics on them. But beyond that, what do you do? My opinion, foals need to be foals, and then horses need to be horses for a couple of years until they head to the trainer. And that trainer can be when they're 3 years old for a gentle introduction, or at 4 for starting on the saddle. I mean, I want to get into this particular detail in this video, but the point is that you've got time. Quite a bit of time. Now, of course, if you're planning on showing this youngster in shows on the line, that's a different ball game. I can't speak to that because I don't do that. But for those of you that are like me for the most part and think that the foals should just be foals, there's still that nagging question of, well, shouldn't I be handling them and teaching them stuff? Sure, or not. Whatever it is that you think the foal needs to learn, here's what I do. I pick a routine and then I follow that routine every time I handle the foal. For example, if the routine is that after eating its mineral, its bucket, it comes out to hand graze a little bit and then I take the long way back to the paddock, then that's what I do every day. That's going to become the routine, right? And horses love routine. It's reassuring. They learn to get comfort from knowing what to expect. And foals and young horses in particular do really well with a reassuring routine. What you shouldn't do with a foal is to suddenly decide one day, you know what, we're going to go walk on tarps. Well, if you've never done anything like that and you decide today's the day we're going to go walking on a tarp, or sometimes people get this idea, oh, I need to take him for a walk. That's all I can do, just take him for a walk. Let's go for a walk. And they go away from their friends and you've never left the barnyard. you're being quite unfair to that foal, and you're setting both of yourselves up for failure. Don't overface them. Now, if your plan, however, is to go for walks regularly around the house, away from the barn, away from their fen, then do that every single day. The first day, I can guarantee you, will be pretty exciting. The second day will go a little bit better. The third day, you'll start to think, hey, we're starting to get the hang of this. He's actually behaving himself. And you know what? There'll be something that'll happen, and there'll be, some sort of disaster, and you'll go backward in your training, and that's okay. And you'll think, oh, that wasn't fun. Yes, but you keep doing it. Keep to your routine. And eventually, it'll become easy. And then you can build on that. You can do progressively a little bit more. The final thing I want to add is that you're getting a foal. You need to manage the expectation. You're basically getting a toddler. And that toddler is going to turn into a preteen and then into a teenager. And even if you have no parenting experience, I think you probably have an idea what I'm talking about. There's going to be tantrums. There's going to be resistance and defiance. And they won't know how to self-regulate very well, any more than a toddler can. So there'll be days where they seem to be full of themselves and overly confident. And then there's days where they're going to be afraid of everything. That's just how it is. That's how they grow up. They're trying things. They're testing their limits. They're trying to understand you as well as the world around them. So manage your expectation. Keep your ask low. Keep your ask regular and routine. And you will see your foal will gain confidence, understand what you're asking, starts to behave better. You're going to get confidence. And until then, there's nothing wrong with wearing a helmet. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If somebody also is getting a new foal and they're feeling some trepidation, let's say, why don't you forward them this video, and hopefully it'll reassure them a little bit.